The smell of roasted turkey filled my parents' dining room, but the warmth of Thanksgiving couldn't penetrate the cold looks directed at me from across the table. I sat quietly in my usual spot, the same chair I'd occupied for 32 years of family gatherings, watching my mother arrange the fine china she only brought out for holidays. "Marcus, could you at least try to dress appropriately for once?" Mom's voice cut through the pleasant chatter of arriving relatives. She gestured at my simple jeans and pullover sweater. "Your brother managed to wear a suit." I glanced down at my clothes. They were clean, comfortable, and had cost more than her entire dining set, but I didn't mention that. "Sorry, Mom. I came straight from work." "Work?" She said the word like it tasted bitter. "Still doing that little tech thing in your apartment?" "Something like that," I replied, keeping my voice even. My brother Derek appeared in the doorway, his suit indeed immaculate, his wife Jennifer clutching his arm like a trophy. "Mom, where do you want the wine?" "We brought 3 bottles, the expensive kind. Not everyone can afford quality." The jab was clearly meant for me. I'd arrived empty-handed, though not for the reasons they assumed. "That's so thoughtful, Derek." Mom beamed at him with the pride she'd never quite managed to show me. "Unlike some people who can't even bring a simple dessert." Aunt Mary swept in next, her perfume announcing her arrival before her voice did. "Where's our little Marcus?" "Still living in that studio apartment." "Hi, Aunt Mary." I stood to hug her, but she held me at arm's length, examining me like a specimen. "Oh honey, you really need to invest in better clothes. Have you considered retail management? My friend's son makes excellent money at Target." I could put in a word. "I appreciate that, but I'm good with what I'm doing." "Pride goeth before the fall," she said, patting my cheek condescendingly. "There's no shame in asking for help." Uncle Robert arrived with cousin Emma, who immediately disappeared into her phone. He shook Derek's hand firmly, barely glancing at me. "Derek. Heard about the promotion. VP of Sales at 35, that's impressive." "Thank you, sir. Just putting in the work." Derek's smile was broad, his posture perfect. "And Marcus?" Uncle Robert finally turned to me. "Still doing whatever it is you do." "Computer stuff," Derek interjected helpfully. "You know, fixing things, basic programming maybe." "Actually," I started. "It's fine to be average, son," Uncle Robert interrupted. "Not everyone can be exceptional. The world needs workers too." Dinner was called and we gathered around the extended table. Mom had seated me at the far end, away from the important conversations happening near her and Dad. Derek sat at Dad's right hand, discussing market trends and investment strategies. I could hear fragments of their animated discussion about Derek's recent client acquisitions. "So Marcus," Jennifer called down the table during a lull, her voice carrying that particular pitch of false sweetness. "Still driving that 2015 Honda?" Every head turned toward me. "Yes," I said simply. "Bless your heart." Jennifer exchanged a look with Derek. "We just got the new Mercedes. The S-Class. Derek says I deserved it after putting up with his work hours." "It's important to invest in quality," Derek added. "Shows people you've made it, you know." Mom served the turkey, giving Derek the largest portions. "A good car is a sign of success. Marcus, maybe if you applied yourself more, saved better." "Can't save what you don't make," Aunt Mary stage whispered to Uncle Robert, loud enough for everyone to hear. I took a bite of turkey, letting the conversation flow around me. "I heard from Carol Thompson that you're still in that same tiny apartment," Mom continued, unable to let it go. "Her daughter saw you at the grocery store using coupons." "Coupons, Marcus. Food is expensive," I said neutrally. "It's embarrassing." Mom set down her fork with emphasis. "Do you know what people say? They ask me about my sons and I can talk about Derek's beautiful home, his promotion, his success. But you, what am I supposed to tell them? That my other son is 32 and has accomplished nothing." The table went quiet. Even Emma looked up from her phone. "Mom, that's a bit harsh," Derek said, though his tone suggested he didn't really disagree. "It's truth," Mom insisted. "Sometimes truth is harsh. Marcus has been working on this computer business for 8 years. 8 years. Derek made VP in 7 years with an actual company." Dad finally spoke up from the head of the table. "Son, your mother and I have been talking. We're willing to help you. Robert's company is hiring for their IT department. Entry level, but it's a start. Real salary, benefits, retirement plan. That's very generous, I said carefully. But I'm committed to my current work. Current work, Aunt Mary repeated with a laugh. Honey, at some point you have to stop pretending and face reality. You're not 22 anymore. This startup fantasy needs to end. It's not a startup exactly. Whatever it is, Mom interrupted, it's clearly not paying the bills if you're living like a college student. Your brother owns a 4-bedroom house. You can't even afford a car payment. I own my car outright, I pointed out. A 13-year-old Honda. Jennifer laughed. Oh Marcus, that's not the flex you think it is. Emma was scrolling through her phone again, occasionally glancing at me with an expression I couldn't quite read. She was the youngest cousin, just finished with college, and we'd always had a decent relationship even if we weren't close. Let's be constructive, Uncle Robert said in his business voice. Marcus, what exactly do you do? Help us understand. All eyes turned to me again. I could explain, but I knew how it would sound. How it always sounded when I tried to make people understand. I develop AI systems, I said simply. Oh, artificial intelligence. Aunt Mary perked up. Like Siri? That's actually impressive. Are you working for Apple? No, He's probably doing freelance stuff, Derek explained to the table. Maybe some small contracts here and there. Right, Marcus? Something like that. See, that's the problem with freelance, Dad said, warming to the topic. No stability, no growth. You're just barely scraping by project to project. You need a real position, son. Like Derek, Mom added pointedly. Real job, real success, real security. The meal continued with my family members taking turns discussing Derek's achievements, Jennifer's new Mercedes, Uncle Robert's latest golf club membership, and Aunt Mary's upcoming cruise. I was mentioned occasionally, always as a cautionary tale or afterthought. Remember when both boys were in school? Aunt Mary reminisced. We all thought Marcus would be the successful one. He had those perfect grades, all those awards. Academic success doesn't always translate to real-world success, Dad said. Derek learned how to work with people, built networks. That's what matters in business. I just worry about him, Mom said, her voice taking on a wounded tone. A mother worries. What happens when he's 40 and still struggling? 50? Will he ever be able to afford a family? A real home? Maybe he's happy, Emma said quietly, still focused on her phone. Happy? Jennifer laughed. Happiness doesn't pay the mortgage. I don't have a mortgage, I said. Exactly. Mom threw up her hands. You're 32 with no mortgage, no assets, no real career progression. Do you know how that looks? To who? I asked. To everyone. She gestured broadly. The Thompsons, the Wongs, everyone at church, my book club, they all ask about my sons. Plural. What am I supposed to say about you? Derek shifted uncomfortably. For all his smugness, he didn't seem to enjoy watching Mom eviscerate me quite this thoroughly. Maybe we should talk about something else, he suggested. No, this needs to be addressed, Dad said firmly. Marcus, we love you. That's why we're being honest. This path you're on, it's not sustainable. Take the IT job. It's a good opportunity. Steady paycheck, room for advancement. Robert's even willing to start you at $55,000. That's very generous, I repeated. So you'll take it? Uncle Robert asked. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. The disappointment on Mom's face was profound. Why are you so stubborn? So prideful? Is it really so hard to admit that your little experiment failed? It hasn't failed. Marcus, you're barely surviving. Her voice rose. That's failure. Look at Derek, that's success. Look at your cousin Tom, he's a doctor now. Look at anyone else in this family, and they're all doing better than you. I'm doing fine. Fine. He was nearly shouting now. You drive a car old enough to be in middle school. You live in a studio apartment. You shop with coupons. That's not fine, that's pathetic. The table fell into shocked silence. Mom had never been quite that brutal before. Eleanor, Dad said quietly. That's enough. No, it's not enough. I'm tired of watching my son waste his life. I'm tired of making excuses for him. I'm tired of being embarrassed. I felt my phone buzz in my pocket but ignored it. Then again. And again. Sorry, Emma said, her eyes wide as she stared at her screen. Sorry, I I need to. Her phone started ringing. Then Aunt Mary's. Then Derek's. What on earth? Aunt Mary picked up. Oh, this is, what? Time magazine? I don't understand why you're calling me. Derek was staring at his phone like it had grown a second screen. Marcus, is this real? What? Mom snapped, still angry. There's an article, Derek said slowly. Coming out tonight. Time magazine's Person of the Year announcement. Emma stood up, her chair scraping loudly. She walked around the table and held out her phone to Mom with a shaking hand. You need to see this, she whispered. Mom grabbed the phone impatiently. Her face went white. Then red. Then white again. This can't be. Dad took the phone from her. His expression froze. The screen showed the Time magazine website, their breaking news banner prominent across the top. And there on the screen was my face. Not a casual photo. Not a candid shot. A professional magazine cover portrait with the iconic red border and the words, Person of the Year across the top. Below my image, the headline read, Marcus Chin, the AI visionary who changed everything. What is this? Mom whispered. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing. I finally pulled it out and saw 247 notifications. Messages from journalists, colleagues, the Time magazine team confirming the embargo had lifted, my publicist asking if I'd seen it yet. Oh my God, Jennifer breathed, looking at her own phone now. It's everywhere. CNN, BBC, Reuters. Marcus. Dad's voice was very small. What is this? Uncle Robert was reading from his phone, his face pale. Says here you developed the breakthrough in artificial general intelligence that's been licensed by every major tech company in the world. Says your patents are valued at. That can't be right. That says billions. With AB, Emma added, still scrolling. Multiple billions. There's more, Derek said, his voice hollow. It says he's been working on this for 8 years. 8 years. Living simply to stay under the radar. Avoiding publicity because... He looked up at me, because you wanted to perfect the technology before going public. Aunt Mary had her phone pressed to her ear. Yes, I'm his aunt. No, I can't give you a statement. No, I don't know when we can. You want to interview the family? I'll have to call you back. Forbes did a profile last month. Jennifer read aloud. How did we miss this? Says, Marcus Chin, estimated net worth $4.7 billion. Age 32. Considered the most significant breakthrough in artificial intelligence in 50 years. Mom stood up abruptly, her napkin falling to the floor. She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. No words came out. The doorbell rang. We all froze. I'll get it, I said quietly, standing up for the first time since the phones had started ringing. I opened the door to find a delivery person holding a massive stack of magazines. Marcus Chin? Got about 200 copies of Time magazine here. Where do you want them? 200. I heard Mom whisper behind me. Your publicist ordered them for the family, the delivery person explained cheerfully. Said you'd want to share this moment with your loved ones. Congratulations, by the way. My kid wants to study AI because of you. I signed for the delivery and carried the first stack inside. The glossy magazines felt substantial in my arms. Each one featured my face on the cover, along with a secondary headline, How One Man's Vision Revolutionized Technology While Living in a Studio Apartment. I set them on the dining table right next to Mom's fine china. Derek picked one up with trembling hands. This is real. This is actually real. There are TV trucks outside, Emma reported from the window. 3 of them. No, for now. My phone rang. I glanced at the screen. Sorry, I should take this. It's the magazine's editor. I stepped into the hallway. Hi, Janet. Yes, I saw it go live. No, I'm actually at my parents' house for Thanksgiving. Family dinner. Is there surprised? Very surprised. I could hear frantic whispering from the dining room. Interview tomorrow at 9 a.m.? That works. NBC, CNN, and BBC all confirmed? Great. And the White House invitation? Next Tuesday is fine. Let me check my calendar and I'll email you tonight. I returned to the dining room. Every eye was on me. Marcus, Dad started then stopped. He seemed to have aged 10 years in 10 minutes. The article mentions us, Mom said faintly, reading from Jennifer's phone. It says. It says you maintained a simple lifestyle despite your success. It says you drove an older car and lived modestly to stay focused on your work. It says. Her voice cracked. It says your family didn't know the extent of your achievements because you valued privacy and wanted to be seen for who you are, not what you've accomplished. That's a nice way of putting it, I said. Why didn't you tell us? Aunt Mary demanded. All this time we thought. You thought I was a failure, I finished calmly. You said so. Multiple times. Including about 15 minutes ago. The silence was deafening. I should have known, Derek said quietly, almost to himself. You were always the smart one. I thought I'd finally beaten you at something. Finally been the successful one. You are successful, I said. VP of Sales is impressive. Don't patronize me, he snapped. Then quieter, please don't patronize me. The doorbell rang again. This time it was a woman in a professional suit with a camera crew behind her. Mr. Chin? I'm Rebecca Harrison from CNN. I know this is family time, but would you be willing to give us just a brief statement? The world wants to hear from you. I glanced back at my family, frozen in their seats around the Thanksgiving table. Actually, I said, would you mind coming back in an hour? I'm having dinner with my family. Of course. We'll be right out here whenever you're ready. I closed the door and returned to the table. Mom was crying quietly. Dad's hand shook as he reached for his water glass. I don't understand, Mom whispered. Why didn't you tell us? I tried, I said simply. Many times. You didn't want to hear about AI development or neural networks or breakthrough algorithms. You wanted to hear about job titles and salaries and houses. I couldn't give you those things in ways you'd recognize. But billions. Uncle Robert sounded dazed. Your work is worth billions? The patents alone are licensed by Apple, Google, Microsoft, Tesla, and about 200 other companies. The technology itself is being used in everything from medical diagnostics to climate modeling to space exploration. Time called it the most important technological breakthrough since the internet. And you did this in a studio apartment, Emma said, something like awe in her voice. I did it in a studio apartment because I didn't need anything else. I wasn't pretending to be successful, Mom. I was being successful. Just not in ways that looked like Derek's success or Uncle Robert's success or anyone else's version of what success should look like. Jennifer was still scrolling through articles. There's a waiting list of companies trying to hire you. The salary offers are. I can't even read these numbers. They don't make sense. I don't need a job, I said. I have my own company now. We're going public next month. The IPO is projected to be the largest in tech history. Dad made a sound somewhere between a laugh and a sob. All those times we offered to help you, he said. All those times we treated you like you were struggling, like you needed saving. You offered me an entry-level IT position for $55,000 a year, I said, keeping my voice neutral. About 3 hours ago. Uncle Robert stood up abruptly and left the room. I heard him in the hallway, his voice low and urgent as he spoke to someone on the phone. Probably his company, probably damage control for how he'd treated the newly announced person of the year. People are posting on social media, Emma said. Videos from dinner. Someone recorded Mom calling you pathetic. It's already viral. Mom's face went from white to gray. No, that can't be. It's at 3 million views, Emma continued quietly. The comments are, they're not good. My phone continued its constant buzzing. Messages from former professors, colleagues, even people I'd gone to high school with. Everyone suddenly wanted to congratulate me, to reconnect, to be part of my story. The article talks about your philanthropy too, Derek said, still reading. Says you've been anonymously funding scholarships for underprivileged students studying STEM. Says you've donated over $100 million to various causes. When did you? How did we not know any of this? You never asked what I was doing, I said. You only asked what I was failing to do. Aunt Mary had both hands over her mouth, tears streaming down her face. I told you to apply to Target. I told the Time magazine Person of the Year to work retail management. You were trying to help, I said. In your way. Don't, she said sharply. Don't make excuses for us. We were cruel. We were so cruel to you. More delivery trucks were arriving outside. I could see them through the window, not just magazines now but flowers, gift baskets, bottles of champagne. The congratulations were pouring in from around the world, all arriving at my parents' address because that's what I'd listed as my contact for the magazine. Your mother and I, Dad started, then had to stop and clear his throat. We owe you an apology that words can't possibly convey. Multiple apologies, Mom added, her voice breaking. Years of apologies. The Thompsons are calling, Aunt Mary said, staring at her ringing phone. And the Wongs. And, oh God, everyone from church. They all saw. Everyone saw. Saw what? I asked. How we treated you. There are articles already. Family mocks Times Person of the Year at Thanksgiving dinner. Someone recorded audio. The quotes. You look like she might be sick. The quotes are exact. Everything we said about you being pathetic, about failing, about embarrassing the family. Derek's phone rang. He answered it, listened for a moment, then hung up with a shaking hand. That was my boss. He wants to know if I can arrange a meeting with you. Said it would be beneficial for my career, to facilitate an introduction. The absurdity of it seemed to hit him all at once. He started laughing, but it wasn't a happy sound. I spent 7 years clawing my way to VP, and now I'm valuable to my company because my brother, my failure brother who I've been looking down on for years, is someone they desperately want to meet. Derek, I started. No, it's actually funny. In a horrifying way. I've been so proud of myself. So proud of finally being the successful one. And the whole time you were. He gestured helplessly at the pile of magazines, at the TV trucks outside, at the constant stream of notifications lighting up everyone's phones. Jennifer hadn't said a word in several minutes. She sat perfectly still, her expensive jewelry suddenly looking costume-like compared to the magnitude of what was unfolding. I made fun of your car, she finally said. I bragged about my Mercedes to someone who could buy the entire dealership. I like my Honda, I said. It's reliable. Stop being nice. Mom's voice cracked. Stop being understanding. We were horrible to you. You were disappointed, I said. You had expectations I didn't meet, or that you thought I didn't meet. I understand that. No, you don't, she insisted. You can't possibly understand because you're not capable of being that small, that petty, that cruel. Even now, after everything we said, you're trying to make us feel better about it. My publicist was calling again. I let it go to voicemail. There's going to be a press conference, I told them. Tomorrow morning. They'll ask about my background, my family, my journey. I need to know what you want me to say. The truth, Dad said immediately. Tell them the truth. Which truth? That you offered me an entry-level position because you thought I was failing? That Mom called me pathetic? That my family spent years treating my life's work as a hobby I needed to grow out of? The words weren't angry, just factual, but they landed like physical blows. Or, I continued, I could tell them that my family always supported me, that you gave me the space and freedom to pursue my passion, that your groundedness kept me humble during my success. Why would you do that? Emma asked. After how we treated you? Because they're still my family, I said simply. And because the truth of what happened here tonight is already viral. You can't undo that. But I can choose what narrative moves forward. Uncle Robert returned to the room, his face ashen. Every major outlet wants a statement from the family. My company's PR department is having a meltdown. They're suggesting I take a leave of absence until this blows over. It won't blow over, Emma said, still scrolling. This is everywhere. International news. Tech visionary's family didn't know about his success. Times Person of the Year lived secretly among us. The headlines are getting more dramatic by the minute. Another knock at the door. This time it was a delivery of formal invitations, speaking engagements, award ceremonies, White House dinners, university honorary degrees. They came in cream-colored envelopes with embossed seals and elegant calligraphy. I brought them to the table and spread them out next to the magazines. The contrast was stark. My family's humble Thanksgiving dinner now surrounded by evidence of a life they'd never imagined I was living. MIT wants to give you an honorary doctorate, Derek read from one invitation. The Nobel Committee is interested in discussing your breakthrough. The UN invited you to speak about AI and global development. Marcus, this is incredible. It's just Tuesday for me, I said quietly. This is my life. It has been for years. You just didn't see it. Mom picked up one of the magazines with trembling hands. She stared at my face on the cover, professional, composed, accomplished. Nothing like the struggling son she thought she knew. "I don't know you," she whispered. "I thought I knew my own son, but I don't know you at all." "You know me," I said. "I'm the same person I was an hour ago. The same person I've always been. The only thing that changed is what you know about me." "That's everything," she said. "That changes everything." The TV trucks had multiplied outside. I counted at least 8 now, their satellite dishes pointing skyward, their lights making the quiet suburban street look like a premiere event. "You should probably go talk to them," Dad said. "They're not going to leave." "I know. Marcus," he started then stopped. Started again. "I'm sorry. I know that's inadequate, but I'm sorry." "We all are," Aunt Mary added. "More than we can possibly express." I looked around the table at my family, really looked at them for the first time that evening. They looked smaller somehow, diminished not by my success but by their own actions finally reflecting back at them. "I'm going to tell the press that my family kept me grounded," I said. "That your practicality helped me stay focused on what mattered. That I'm grateful for your honesty and your high expectations because they pushed me to be better." "That's a lie," Mom said. "It's a kindness," I corrected. "There's a difference." I stood up, straightening my simple sweater, the same one Mom had criticized hours earlier. Felt like years had passed since then. "I'll be outside for about 30 minutes. When I come back maybe we can finish dinner. The turkey's probably cold by now, but..." I shrugged. "It's still Thanksgiving." I walked to the door, magazines crunching under my feet where they'd spilled across the floor. Behind me, I could hear Mom crying in earnest now, Dad's quiet attempts to comfort her, my relatives trying to process what had just happened. I opened the door to a wall of cameras and shouted questions. Somewhere in the chaos, I heard my own name being called by a dozen voices, all wanting a piece of the story, all wanting to know about the humble genius who'd changed the world from a studio apartment. But before I stepped into that circus, I glanced back one last time at my family, frozen around the Thanksgiving table, surrounded by evidence of a success they'd never bothered to see. The turkey was indeed getting cold. But the real chill in the room had nothing to do with temperature.